Hi, this is Tracy HD, and I'm going to do a tutorial today on how to trim your Oracle cards, Tarot cards, Lenormand cards, Kipper cards, any cards that you want to remove borders. It took me at least, I would say, a year, close to a year, if not maybe a little more than a year, to decide that that's what I was going to do. I was a little skeptical, cutting into the card, maybe ruining them. But once I started trimming them and saw what a difference it made, I've trimmed at least 40 decks at this point, and I've only been doing it for about 2 months. Today we're going to be doing the Fairy Tale Lenormand. Because all of my other decks are trimmed, I just received this deck today, and it would be a perfect deck to trim. Now, what I will be using is going to be a pair of scissors like this. Okay, you could buy these in any craft store, department store, any of your local chain stores will carry them. I prefer these that are very long because you're going to be able to make a long cut with these instead of using shorter scissors. I also purchased this off of Amazon.com because my local stores did not carry it. It is called a round corner punch because it's going to punch the corner of the cards. This one is made by a company named Aidox, A-I-D-O-X. But if you look on Amazon, a few companies do make this. It's very durable. I have used this to punch well over 1,000 cards, and it's still going. And this would be the small round punch because they come in small, medium, and large. So small would be what you would want to choose. That's what I prefer. Maybe you prefer a larger corner. I don't know. I think the small looks perfect. And what we want to first do is we want to see if the cards are going to be okay to trim. These cards are going to be perfect. There is a border, as you can see here, a very distinctive border. There's nothing detailing the edges or the corners that may look choppy if you were to cut it. The 6 here up in the corner, even though it is a circle, you're going to be able to even that right out. It will have the little curve going into the card, but that's fine with me. And of course, we're going to trim the bottom. Okay, and also you want to make sure that when you're trimming these cards that the backs aren't going to get completely destroyed. If they do and it just doesn't seem to look right on the back, you can always put new backs on the card. I've never experienced doing backings to cards yet. Maybe I will. I'm not sure yet. I can tell right now that when I cut these cards, I'm going to lose this trim on the outside. Okay. Not sure if it's going to leave maybe a little bit of trim, which would be just enough, just a thin line of trim. And this is basically what you do. And again, I was very scared and skeptical of doing this because it scares me to think that if I make one wrong move, the card's going to be ruined. But trust yourself and go slowly with this. There's no rush. It takes time to pick up, speed doing something like this. You want to make sure you take your time. So what I'm going to do is I always start at the bottom corner and I get as close as the picture is, like where the actual line is, where the border ends and the picture begins. And I will take a cut very carefully. Okay. And then I will go across the top. Okay, I think I could trim a little bit more. Trying to make this as straight as possible. And then we have the outer edge. Holding it as steady as possible. And then you can either leave the bottom or you could trim it. And I'm going to trim the bottom. Or actually, maybe I'll leave it. I kind of like it. Now, if you don't feel that this is straight enough, you can always go over it. Okay, and I'm hoping that the camera is picking this up because it's kind of like a little bit of a glare. You want to make sure that you're not leaving any of that border. make sure that all of the border is gone. Okay, and then what we have is, we have the round punch, okay? And I've seen somebody use it with their hand up in the air with it. It always jams up when I do that. So I would suggest putting it on a sturdy surface, and there's a rubber bottom on it so it doesn't slide. So I'm thinking that was the original intention of how this is to be used. And you basically just punch the corners. And look at how beautiful that is. It is very professional looking because your corners are rounded. Okay? And look at what a difference it makes. The picture really pops. You could see all of the artwork. It just seems to be more, how could I say it? I could connect to these cards more, as opposed to the ones with the borders. So basically, trimming where the borders are, okay? Trimming across the top, the sides, and again, you could leave the bottom if you want. I thought the bottom will make this look a little fancier than if it was just up to the band where the word is. Okay, very easy to do. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be flipping through decks in no time, but just take your time. The finished product is well worth the time and the effort. And the back. The back is still going to have a little bit of trim, okay? And I may trim off the bottom so it's more uniform. Not sure yet, but you do whatever feels right to you. And I may even go over this a little bit too. It's hard to do this while I'm on camera, but take a little bit off at a time. Again, don't rush. Believe that you can do it. I didn't think that I could. I'm so glad that I did. And enjoy it. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel because I will be back with more.